Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fluctus channel. The journey to becoming a pilot can be arduous, challenging, and costly. One needs to be the jack of all trade and the master of everything. From aircraft engineering, analyzing weather patterns, crisis management, and for some, carry out offensive and defensive military operations. There are a lot of moving components in getting the aerial vessels from point A and B. And that point B might be a moving runway in the middle of the ocean. On today's feature, we will uncover some of the challenges faced by pilots in trying to land the aircraft or helicopter on landing decks of the sea. There are about 48 aircraft carriers operated by 14 navies worldwide, each with its own design and capabilities. But the common denominator between them is that it accommodates flight operation on its relatively narrow and often short runway. For takeoff, there are various mechanisms and technology that assist the aircraft in departing from the carrier. Some rely on the catapult-assisted takeoff but arrested recovery system, or CATOBAR, for launching them from the flight deck, and others opt for a jet blast deflector and ski ramp at the carrier's bow for takeoff. Then comes the issue of how to get the aircraft to safely land the high-speed aircraft on the short and narrow runway. It is worth remembering that between 1948 and 1988, there have been about 8,500 deaths in and around aircraft carrier operations. Flying a basic propeller aircraft without the modern technology to assist in the flight operation while battling the challenging sea condition is hard enough of a challenge. But the early days of aircraft carriers' flight decks were made of wood and were often slippery from oil spillage from refueling operation. It was indeed a disaster waiting to happen. Though technology and regulations helped to make the operation safer, there are other uncontrollable elements that might work against the mission. During the recovery operation, the pilot has to navigate the aircraft to land and catch the arresting steel wire laid across the flight deck. Miss the catch, the pilot must accelerate full throttle and propel for a go-around and reattempt the landing. The weather can be a double-edged sword and an uncontrollable component in the landing operation. Aside from the fact that the landing target is constantly moving, it also moves in 6 different ways, depending on the weather. Whether surging, heaving, or swaying from the waves, the carrier is always in motion. And during flight operation, the carrier constantly moves at 30 knots. This is where the pilot's experience and skill, together with the assistance from the crew on the carrier, plays an essential role in ensuring the aircraft's safe recovery. Once landed, the plane goes from 150 miles per hour to a complete halt in seconds. But the ordeal is not over yet. In 2016, an E-2C Hawkeye of the U.S. Navy landed on the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower carrier and caught one of the arresting cables, when suddenly the cable snapped and nearly sent the Hawkeye plunging into the sea. The pilot managed to get the aircraft back into the air and save the crew on board. But the incident injured 8 others on the flight deck. Upon investigation, the mishap was caused by a maintenance error of the crew below the deck. The element of risk and danger in shipboard helicopter operations is equally harrowing. Whether used for military purposes, crew transportation to offshore platforms, medical evacuation missions, the procedure demands accuracy, highly trained and experienced crew to ensure safe operation. Communication between the pilot and the receiving bridge's team is vital, where crucial information and warnings are clearly shared. The landing signal officer is responsible for guiding the helicopter recovery or launch from the deck. The flight deck personnel is also responsible for making sure the helicopter is securely strapped, and a mistake in the installation can be dangerous for everyone on board. In the same scenario faced by the aircraft pilot landing on the carrier, the helicopter pilot also has to battle the unforgiving weather element. From the heavy seas, thunderstorms, strong gusts, a lot of the weather components affect the helicopter's stability itself. So one can only imagine the skill it takes to maneuver an unstable helicopter battling the heavy storms and trying to land on an equally unstable landing deck on a moving vessel. Over time, technologies have been improved to make the landing experience better. Various systems have been adopted to assist pilots in landing their vessels safely regardless of the condition. An example of this is the development of the Ship Helicopter Operating Limit System, introduced by Prism Defense, which was developed to enable helicopter operation in extreme conditions. And in 2013, the U.S. Navy has successfully landed an unmanned aircraft completely autonomously on its aircraft carrier. This was a turning point in the aviation industry as it represents the level of accuracy and reliability in the technology that can be applied in other aircraft. The media has portrayed the allure and appeal of a career in aviation. Still, very few understand the scope of responsibility borne by the pilots and the dangerous elements the job entails. Not only to ensure the safe delivery and serve the purpose of the aircraft or helicopter, but the pilot, as well as the crew involved, plays a vital role in making the operation smooth and, above all, safe. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.